from astronomy to zoology which contradict the idea of God, nor is there any established fact of science or generally accepted theory of science that disproves the idea of God. Science can often answer the question of what and how, but why remains a mystery. For science has no clue to the origin of things. Is it possible to prove the existence of God by reason? If we mean we can prove God, the answer is no. But it is certain that there is enough evidence available to make faith in God reasonable. All the rational arguments put together form a strong cumulative argument for the existence of God. Note, by logic alone we cannot find God. Unless God reveals himself, we are doomed. That's the second class. We are doomed to confusion and conjecture. We should always remember that all arguments used by the modern naturalists against God are not new. In other words, what people believe and says that there is no God, the arguments they use, that's not new. Okay. Nothing essential has been added to the argument as it existed many centuries ago in ancient Greek times. The argument against gods were all in existence before Christianity came on the scene of history. It's not because a man is modern, but because he's a naturalist. It's caused him to say that God is a figment of one's imagination. So one of the things that you must always know is that God does not try to prove his existence. The first chapter and the first verse of the first book of the Bible says Elohim, God, created the heavens and the earth. It didn't say, I'm going to prove to you that I exist. God doesn't have to prove his existence. Your very existence proved that God exists. My very existence proved that he exists. But there are those who try to prove God's non-existence through reason. You know, that's how we learn through reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can't learn in confusion, can we? Has to be some order to it, right? You know, man by his intellect alone cannot prove God's existence or disprove it. Okay? Faith is part of that process. Right? Okay. But faith must be buttressed by some evidence. Because you just can't believe just for the sake of believing. Okay? God assumes that you believe in him. Because he's not trying to prove his existence. Universal belief in God argument. Wherever you go around the globe, you will find man as a worshiping creature, and that human history is essentially a religious history. Man in every type of culture, in every degree of civilization, worships some kind of God or gods. Now, why do people, even if they worship the wrong God, the idea that they are worshiping something higher than themselves? Why? Because man is a religious being. Man has to worship something. Higher than himself. Anthropologists have shown that among the most primitive people today, there's a belief in God. And in the earliest histories and legends of people all around the world is evidence for their original concept of one God. There seems to be a concept of a supreme being, even in society, which are polytheistic today. The heathen, rather than not worshiping something, will worship anything. They'll worship the creature, Paul says. Paul even talks about in Romans 1:23, creepy and crawling things. That's how low man will go. Okay. point is clear that the vast majority of humanity at all times and all places has some belief in some kind of God or gods. Where did this concept come from? How come animals don't have it? Uh-oh. Because, see, scientists would tell us, and I've heard Christians use this term too, that man is a part of the animal kingdom. Where did you get that from? Animals are not rational beings. They don't have a God complex. They have a feed me complex. I heard somebody, one of my members say, you know, well, we part of the animal kingdom. Where you get that from? Man is not a part of the animal kingdom. We didn't come from animal. We came from the dust. Right. And so we buy into stuff because we learn it growing up in school, taking science. Because they're trying to explain our origin and where we come from. And they don't want to admit that man was created in the image of God. And so they use arguments that are foolish. It becomes obvious that all men are worshiping creatures because of the image of God is stamped on their hearts. So let me say again, everybody has to worship something. Even those that stay home on Sunday morning, they're worshiping someone. They just don't know it, huh? That's right. And it could be themselves. Because we do know that for centuries, man feels like he's become the measure of all things. You know, he's the master of his fate and of his destiny. And if that were true, well, nobody die, because everybody would be deciding that they ain't gonna die. But we die, right? So when you're talking about the existence of God, you're talking about different arguments. These are rational arguments, nevertheless, but they are helpful in trying to understand this idea or this thing about God's existence. Okay? And one of the arguments is called the cosmological argument. It's in your notes. Okay? All right, the cosmological argument is an argument from cause to effect. Okay? Simply means that no effect can be produced without a cause. Right? This is the earth. The earth is an effect. Right? Because the earth is here, is an effect, it tells me it has to have an adequate cause. Something made this effect. I just happen to believe it's God. God is the cause of this effect called the earth. That pew you're sitting on tells me there was a pew maker. Right? Because the pew is an effect. It's here. Okay? The car you drive in is an effect. Which tells me that the car had to have a car maker somewhere. Right? So every effect must have an adequate cause. Now, turn to Psalm 19. And Psalms, and by the way, don't ever say Psalms chapter 19. This says Psalm 19. Yeah, it says Psalm 19. That's the proper way of pronouncing it. Okay? The heavens are telling of the glory of God, verse 1, and the expanse is declaring the work of his hand, the sky, the stars, the clouds. They are preaching there's a God. And notice, and they preach with no words being heard. That's why it said, day to day pour forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge, but there is no speech, nor are there any words. Their voice is not what? It's not heard. The son don't say, hey, y'all, God created me. They don't say that. Right? But we do know that you can put 1 billion earths inside the sun. We do know every little twinkle, little star you see at night is bigger than the earth. You're looking millions and millions and millions of miles away right from your backyard. Amen. And without a telescope. Isn't that amazing? We do know if God were to tilt the earth 1/3 of an inch closer to the earth, it would be too hot for us, we'd burn up. And if he tilted it 1/3 of an inch away from the earth, we'd freeze to death. And God put all that stuff where it is so it can be conducive to life on earth. God made all of this effect that we see. He's the cause. Look at Romans chapter 1 for a moment. Hope you're writing these scriptures down. One, verse 18. Look what Paul says to the Romans. For the wrath of God is already revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness and ungodliness and all men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Notice what they're doing. The reason why people say I don't believe in God is because they hold down the truth. Now, why? Look up here. One of the reasons why people don't want to believe in God, it's the number one reason is they don't want nobody telling them what to do. And if you believe in God, you got to believe somebody's going to be telling you what to do. Right? So I'm grown now. I've been told all my life what to do. Now I'm grown. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. Somebody's still going to be telling you what to do. Pay this car note on this date. If not, we're going to give you a late fee. Somebody telling you what to do. Right? Yeah, tax time too. When they take that out, because they figure you weren't going to send them in, so they take it out for us before we get it. But man wants to be the master, again, of his own fate. See? And God is the ultimate cause. He is the first cause. We can say, first cause. Who started everything. And look at Romans again, verse 20. For since the creation of the world, the invisible attributes of eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been what? Made, so that they are without what? without a defense. Man not going to be able to say, oh, God, I never heard of you. God said, if creation is preaching my existence. So anybody who goes to hell going to say, well, Lord, when they stand before him, I just didn't know. God said, you ain't got no excuse. Well, I didn't know this. I didn't know it was a 35 mile an hour. See what that state patrolman going to tell you. You know now. When you come back here the next time, you're going to be doing the speed limit because now you know this ticket. So the universe owes its existence to God. On the next page. Letter B. The law of cause and effect raises a philosophical problem. If every effect must have an adequate cause, then who caused God? Whoa! That's some 6-year-old asked, hey, Mom, hey, Dad. If you and Dad made me, then who made God? And you're going to say, go to bed, boy. Yep. Which means you don't know what's going on. Okay? Now, write this in your note. There are 3 types of causes. Number 1, caused by another. There are 3 types of causes. Okay. Number 1, caused by another. Right? So something had to precede what was caused. Right? So God could not be caused by another because nobody preceded him. Right? Number 2, caused itself, or self-caused. Now that's a contradiction because nothing can be prior to itself. Right? Nothing can be prior to itself. I mean, itself can't just be here. You can't create yourself. Right? That's a contradiction. God couldn't create himself. That would be a contradiction, wouldn't it? So, no. And the third is uncaused cause. Uncaused caused. Which means nobody caused God, who caused everything. God is uncaused. He's the first cause. There's nobody prior to him. He just is. I would tell Moses, I am that I am. I'm the self-existent one. Nobody made me. I'm the uncaused cause. See, All of us in this room have derived life. We get our life from some other source. God has underived life. He's the eternal being. He didn't get his life from nobody. But that's what they use in philosophical arguments against us. That's why I'm going over this stuff with you. Okay. So what now? Y'all like the uncalled stuff, huh? Y'all can't wait to share that Sunday, huh? So God is eternal and uncreated. I'm at the top of the page again. A God who is sovereign, omnipotent, all-wise will be the first cause. Were God a created being, he would not and could not be God. Everything must have a final point of predication, and that point is God. This is where a theist parts company with an atheist. An atheist must say that matter is eternal and life came from non-life. And neither of these statements has any time to be true. How can life come from non-life? We say, well, in dirt, non-life, and man came from the dust of the earth. Yeah, the dirt is non-life, but the God who used the dirt to create man has life. And he breathed in the man the breath of life. Man did not become alive until God said, whoosh. And when God said, woof, then man said, hello. Go to the funeral home and tell them Lynn and Cassie hello, see what they say to you. Life is gone.
So that's why it's hard to talk to try to explain to a non-Christian, because they don't understand all this stuff. And if you don't understand, it's hard. Even with some of us now, talking about this, it can be this can get deep. I mean, real deep.
Well, one of the things we do with non-Christians, too often we always want to give them an explanation. And we rush so fast to give them an explanation. So here I am, a non-Christian, and you're a Christian, and I'm saying, listen, I don't believe in God. I don't believe there is a God. Where'd you get that from? That's all I'm asking. Where did you get that from? And I'm waiting for his answer before I get him mine. Because he got that view from somewhere. And most of the time, he don't even know where he got it from. And for you to make that statement, there is no God, which means you must be him. Because you had to be around to say that he didn't exist. So you had to be prior to him to say he does not exist. See, and so, most of the time, folk don't have no argument against you. They just parroting what they're hearing. Now, people say, well, the Bible is full of errors, contradictions. Where'd you get that from? Wait for an answer. Didn't hand them a Bible. Can you show me something? Well, I don't. Wait a minute now. So you espousing something that you don't even know. I want you to show me where the contradictions are in the Bible. Show me one of them. Here's a Bible, show me. See, what you have done is disarmed them. They came in loaded for bear. And just one question, you have totally disarmed them. They don't have a leg to stand on. They get to fidgeting. Well, I left my glasses at the house. Use mine. Yes, sir.
You're right, because I remember once, I used to hear it all the time. God said, you take one step, I take it. However they said it.
Yeah, you can take
I
it.
didn't understand that. But show me where, show me where he said that. You take one step, I take the next step, however it was. But
You take one step, God take two, something.
something like that.
Yeah, well, we get a lot of sayings. Cleanliness next to godliness. They attribute that to Apostle Paul, but Ben Franklin said that. It's not in the Bible. And so we have to be careful of believing stuff that cannot be supported from the text. Okay. Yes.
In the Bible is that he does not dwell in an unclean place. But he do not mean, he means your heart. Okay, you got to be right.
Okay.
I just said that because I'm sorry, that came to my mind.
Okay, all right. We're going to help your mind a little later. I'm just kidding with you. I just had to just say it. I appreciate it. All right, here's the main point. Anything that has a beginning must have a what? A cause. Anything that has a beginning must have a cause. Anything that has a beginning must have a cause. Okay. The next is called the teleological. Say that, teleological. 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 This is the argument from design to designer. The universe not only proves a maker, but also a designer. There's the observable purpose and design in the universe which argue for the existence of God as its designer. The human body is the most complex organism, and it's illogical to think that it did not have a designer. The brain, they said that if a person today could use only 10% of the brain's capacity, they'll be a genius. 10%. You'd be a genius. When God made the human brain, he made it with great capacity. But what happened was the fall of man limited that capacity. I can't tell you how much blood the heart pumps a day. It's amazing. There's so many wires in your brain. That's why it's hard for them to figure out how to do a brain transplant. It's a lot of wires up here. Okay. Now, no one would think that a wristwatch would come into being without intelligent designer. How much more credible to think that the universe, in its infinite complexities, could have happened by chance. It's unlikely that a monkey in a print shop could set Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address in type. They had that monkey for years trying to talk. That lady, you remember the lady? Yeah. The monkey died, I think she did. Now the monkey still ain't said a word. The monkey hadn't said absolutely what? Nothing. So, when you're talking about design, okay, the universe shows design. The stars, the moon, the universe, the planets, all of that shows design, order. The seasons show design. What is it? Fall, winter, spring, summer? Is that it? Now turn to Acts 14:17 and write that down as one of the verses. Y'all learning something? Acts 14:17. 17. Acts 14 after 13. 17. Look what Paul says. And yet he did not leave himself without witness, and that he did good and gave you rains from heaven and fruitful seasons, satisfying your hearts with food and gladness. Y'all see that? He gave you seasons, order, design. Turn to Genesis chapter 8 and look at verse 22. Write that down. Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. While the earth remains, seed time, harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and night and day shall not cease. Ain't no such thing as global warming. But anyway, right now across the pond over there, it's nighttime. Right? Across the pond over there, I think it's what, spring over there now? Well, there's one over here, spring over there, or summer somewhere in there. Seasons. The seasons. So all design must have a designer. There is great design in the universe, and there must be a great designer. When you see a nice painting, you got to notice somebody painted that. Right? When you look at the vast complexities of the universe, the majestic mountains. If you ever go to the Grand Canyon, it'll blow your mind. And that was caused by the flood of Noah. And yet there are mountains in the sea, in the ocean, that are higher than the mountains y'all see on earth. That's why scientists is never fully and completely able to measure the depth of the sea. Because there are mountains underwater. Huh? They know that too. Yeah, they know that there are mountains under the water. Higher than some of the Stone Mountain, higher than Stone Mountain. Just to give you a frame of reference. And just think about it. If man cannot measure the depths of the sea, when you think what God said, I've cast all your sins in the depths of the sea. That means no matter how far down you go trying to get them, you ain't going to get them. You can't bring them back up. Because the deeper you go, the deeper you got to go.
Even in the military now, and the Navy haven't invented a submarine that should go in the deepest part of the ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
No. It's only a certain depth they can go. Your pressure crusher, kill them. So when you're talking about the teleological argument, you're talking about that's an intelligent designer. The smartest man in the world is not smarter than God. Right? God knows how to solve all problems. There's nothing you can ask God that God don't know. He's a supreme problem solver. Right? Intelligence, brilliance. We call it omniscience, all-knowing. And the third is the anthropological argument. Every human being knows by intuition that God exists, Romans 1:20. This is something inherent to man. He may think of this as a supreme power or force or a spirit, but he is conscious of someone or something above himself. See, man just didn't come into existence by nothing. See, and we'll get into this more. That's why I tell you all the time, there are no reputable atheists out here. None. You go to Mercer, they got a bunch of them over there that claim to be atheists. And they ain't all in the science department. Some of them in the religion department over there, too. You take one of the most virulent atheists at Mercer University who says, I don't believe in God. And that man came by evolution. And you ask him, then why do you believe in evolution when there's so many problems with it? So many holes in evolution. Why do you believe it? If he's honest, he's going to say, I believe it because if I left it, I ain't got nowhere to go but creation.
Amen.
So they'll say, man came from a lower species. He evolved. So evolution is simply moving from the simple to the complex. From disorder to order. Because it's evolving. Right? If it's moving from order to disorder, then it's devolving. You follow what I'm saying? It's coming apart. Devolving means it's coming apart. Evolving means it's coming together. Right? It's moving from order to disorder. Okay? Which means if evolution were true, then you and I should be getting younger, not older.
That's right.
Instead, I don't know about you, but I'm coming apart. My body tells me I'm coming apart. Something going on, ain't it? Huh? Because when I was younger, I could run. Huh? And jog, come on. Cause, grandmama and mama done made you stay outdoors all day in the summertime. Don't come in this high. Mess up this high. Go out there and play. Right? You stay out there and played all day. Then you came in to eat. Right? Then you just do it, then you go to bed. Right? All right. Now I'm 60 years old. You think I can run a mile now? Nope. I can't run a mile. I'll watch you run a mile. My old injuries in football, I'm experiencing them now. They're coming back to haunt me. Yeah, that's right. This old knee will come back to haunt me now. See? So evolution, the second law of thermodynamics, says that energy is being used up. Okay. Now, so let's put it in our language. The older we get, the quicker we get tired. Don't we? What's happening? Energy is being what? Has been used up. So that muscle that used to be right here is down here now. If you built a new house and nobody lived in it and just left it alone, what's going to happen to it? It's going to deteriorate, right? So left to itself, the universe will run down. And it is running down. It's running down. It's going toward a goal. That's what Hebrews tells us in Hebrews 1:3. That he upholds this universe by the word of his power. He's carrying along toward his intended destination. Okay. So man had a beginning. Okay. And if evolution was true, and man evolved from the simple to the complex, then where did the materials come from man to move from the simple to the complex? Nothing can cause itself, right? Someone had to cause it. Something can't cause nothing. They're making robots now, right? They're making cars that can park itself and drive itself. And they're having wrecks. Okay? Because it's driven by a computer. What the computer chip goes bad while you driving, sitting back, relaxing, eating your frosty, and the car driving you to the grocery store. I mean, it's a fascinating thing they're doing with cars. My car tells me when I'm over the line. My seat will shake, it vibrates, and it tells me to get back over. Fascinating what the mind of man can do. Okay. But it's all by computer. And someone had to make that computer and program it. Right? Look at Acts 17:26. And he made from one every nation of mankind to live on the face of the earth, having determined their appointed time, their birthday, and the boundaries of their habitation, their hometown. Look at verse 29. Being then the offspring of God, we ought not to think that the divine nature is like gold or silver or stone, an image formed by the art and thought of man. No, it's by God. God did this. God made man. Now, sometimes you'll see under an anthropological argument called the moral argument as well. Sense of morality. Letter B, since man is moral and intelligent, he must have a maker who is also a moral and intelligent being. Man's moral nature, religious instinct, conscience, and emotional nature argue for the existence of God. These characteristics come from God because man was made in the image of God. It is generally agreed that all men have some moral standards. These standards may vary among individuals and cultures. However, all men do not have the same moral codes. But man is his own lawgiver, and where a moral warp exists in the soul, we would not expect the law of God to emerge unsullied in his system of ethics. Yet all men have a moral notion. Note, some deny moral standard, but although some steal, none enjoy being robbed. Though some lie, none enjoy being deceived. Though some murder, none enjoy being murdered. Conscience and emotions, to some degree, exist in all men. Any man who violates his conscience is oppressed by the feelings of guilt. If men have a concept of right and wrong, a stone or a tree don't have guilt. An animal has no real guilt. Yet God has endowed man with a conscience as a reminder that he's not a mere animal, but a moral creation made in the image of his creator. So does the anthropological argument conclusively prove the existence of God? The theological explanation of morals in man does not prove the existence of God, but rather show the reasonableness to conclude that an infinitely great, intelligent, and moral being has endowed man with such nature. So all men are conscious of an objective moral law. Every culture has a system of right and wrong. Even though it may not be our system of right and wrong, but they have their own cultures and system of right and wrong. Right? So if they have a moral code, there must be a moral lawgiver. And look at Romans chapter 2, verses 14 to 16. They don't have the law, they are law to themselves. In that the law show the work of the law, in that law written on their hearts, their conscience bearing witness, their thoughts alternative accusing or else defending them. So the conscience lets us know that there's a God because the conscience is that moral code, arbiter. Yes. 2, 14 through 16. Okay?
Pastor, is that just like you used to teach us, cannibals eat people?
Yeah.
But they won't eat each other.
That's right.
They got a moral code bred in them to not eat each other.
Right. Yeah, they eat you from the outside. But they won't eat each other.
Right.
And the reason why they won't eat each other, there's a moral code that exists within their culture. Because if they're true cannibals, that shouldn't mean the cannibals. Right? See, so everybody has a sense of right and wrong. Where you get that from? Got it from God. And God can use the conscience to send a man to hell. Because part of the revelation that God gives to man to show his existence is not only creation, but the conscience. God says, you got a system of right and wrong in your culture. Where do you think they come from, man? Where you get that from? I don't know. No, you knew. Because I put it in your heart. Romans chapter 1, verse 19 said. That's what it said. It's within them. Right? But you observe a law, and with reason, you can reason back to me. But you didn't want me. Yes.
That moral conscience. Did the Ten Commandments help us to sharpen that moral conscience?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
From my understanding, the commandment was to show man how simple they really was.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So prior to that time, they still had that moral conscience, right?
Yes.
Or did they just sharpen it?
See, here's the thing. Well, this is where a lot of people get stuck, particularly Christians. What about those people who didn't have the Ten Commandments? They still got them. Yeah, that's right. The fact that they have a moral conscience, a code to do what's right and what's wrong, suggests there's a God. So God can say, well then, why did you set up a law in your culture? Why you eat them people from Georgia but won't eat yourself? Eat your own people in your community. You got a law. You got a moral code. Where do you think that came from? They know it. Plus they're worshiping something bigger than themselves. And God can use that to condemn a man. Can't nobody say, well, Lord, I shouldn't be here because I never heard of Jesus. God said, well, you heard of creation happened yet. Yes, sir. Yeah, he was a worshiper of God from the sense that he had embraced part of the Jewish religion. He knew there was someone bigger than himself. So he was in prayer, taught worshiping God. He wanted more information. And so God sent Peter to give him the words of eternal life. So you can be religious, you can be in church and still not be saved. You can be baptized and still not be saved. You can preach the gospel and still not be saved. And you can preach the truth and still not be saved. Reverend Armstrong can tell you, we had some guys in seminary got saved that 4th year of seminary. Went through all the Bible classes, went through all the theology classes, and some of them got saved graduation night. Isn't that amazing? Yes.
How does this work with the fact that people know God, say that they worship God, but they don't worship Jesus. They don't believe in Jesus, that he was Savior, he was Messiah, he came to save us. So, they worship God, but they don't worship Jesus. But this moral code saying that, you know right from wrong, and that can condemn you to hell. But I'm not sure whether I'm explaining it right.
I know where you're at. Because if you don't worship Jesus, you're not worshiping God. You're worshiping a God, but not the true God.
Say that again, man.
You can't worship the true God without worshiping Christ. To say I'm going to worship God and not worship Jesus means you ain't worshiping nothing.
No man come to the Father unless he comes.
Except by me.
Point blank.
Right. He that believes me believes my Father. If you don't believe me, you don't believe my Father. My Father and I are one. Right? That's why the Muslims believe Allah and Allah, but don't believe in Jesus, which tell me Allah ain't nothing. Not just a false God, no God at all. Jehovah's Witnesses say I'm worshiping God, but Jesus is a creation of God. He's the Son of God by creation, which means they ain't worshiping nothing. So when they go up on the Kingdom Hall and do what they do inside that building, they just doing something to be doing something. Because if Jesus ain't who he says he is, then God ain't who he says he is. Can't have it both ways. That's why Christianity is on the attack in America today. I've never seen it like it is today. There's a hatred in this country for Christianity. They hate us. And they're willing to embrace every other religion in America except Christianity and the Jewish religion.
They want to say it's a white thing. Like it got something to do with color.
Yeah, nah, what color is God? I don't know. I remember, you know, they had a little white man on the picture. You know your grandmama had that white man on the, over on the mantelpiece, blue-eyed, blonde hair, right beside Martin Luther King and Kennedy, the Kennedy boys. Y'all remember that? And they had the little candles put in there. Yeah, know what I'm talking about. When I was seminary in Chattanooga, I went down to the hood to get my haircut, and they had a big mural with Black Jesus with an afro. I said, boy, it's something else. And they're trying to make Jesus black because they made him white. And they say, well, he got to be black, Red, because it said he got hair like wool. And when you think about that, you think about Frederick Douglass. You know, got lamb hair, you know, got that lamb's hair. So it had to be a little nappy, so he had to be black. All that's talking about he's the eternal Son of God. That's all it's talking. He's the Ancient of Days. Turn to Psalm 96 for a moment. I'll let this go as the last passage for the day. Psalm 96. Verse 1, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Proclaim his goodness, good news of his salvation from day to day. Tell of his glory among the nation. His wonderful deeds are among the people. For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods, for all the gods of the peoples are what? Idols. But the Lord made what? See the word idols there? How many of y'all ever write? Y'all write in your Bible? I write in mine. All right, circle that word idol and put a line in your margin and put L-I-T, which means literally. Which means literally it means nothingness. For all the gods of the peoples are absolutely nothing. So, if the God that people worship don't have a son named Jesus, the one they're worshiping ain't nothing. And you can take that to the bank. And we'll holler at y'all next Thursday. Thank you for coming. And we take a break for those who are going to stay to the next class.